Hey guys, it's Jack, and I don't know what I got myself into. After ranking all the musicals, I got the urge to go back and rank every cast song, and I didn't realize that there are over 50 of them. But again, I love ranking videos, and the bigger the better, so I'm excited to do this today. Cast songs on Drag Race have always been one of the best challenges to me because it's a win-win for everyone involved. The queens make some royalties on the song, WoW gets a lot of money, and the fans normally love them. Is every song perfect? Definitely not, but there's at least one verse or a catchy chorus on each of the songs that makes me want to listen to them at least a couple times. I get bored driving pretty easily, and sometimes my music just isn't hitting, so I'll search on Spotify Drag Race cast songs and just listen to all of them. I can listen to most of them, but there are definitely some that I skip more often than others, and those are going to end up lower on the list. My ranking's going to be based off of the verses, how they implement the RuPaul chorus, or just the chorus in general. Is everything kind of balanced out well? Other things like how the mixing of the song is, and if I can't choose between two songs, I'll look at the performance on the show. If there's two versions of one song, I'm splitting them in two and ranking them individually. But things like Can I Get an Amen and Show Up Queen, where there's separate teams but they're all on the same song, that's going to be one entry. A number will be in the top left corner to show what entry we're on, and without further ado, let's get started on talking about some cast songs. One of the biggest mysteries to me until today is how Ginger's group won over the other two groups. This was still in the early days of recording, so I feel like all of them singing at the same time and trying to harmonize just did not come out sonically well. And with how things were flowing, the delivery was just really awkward and jokes were piling on top of each other. I've never come back to listen to this one or even watch the show unless I'm doing a video about it, and I'm glad to just forget it. It's not offensive, the humor just isn't for me. But I'll quickly mention, if you do want a really great song by Ginger, Huluween Dragstravaganza is such a banger. I don't really have a lot to say about Dragometry. It is ingrained into my brain because of the Drag Race edits Muniz does. But when you actually go and listen to it, I guess the message is okay, but wow, it is just so uncanny. Something that's always stuck with me about Dragometry when I actually sit down and listen to the song is how they deliver the lines. I think they were going for something kind of bubbly and fun, but it comes off as breathy and kind of crazy.
Get out of the box! Don't be so uptight!
Our first modern Drag Race song on the list is Congratulations, and I feel like I've made my dislike for the song pretty clear. To me, it represents how one of these modern songs can kind of go south really fast. Everyone was trying to show off their best self, which is important in these challenges, but there was absolutely no unity unlike some other groups. To me, it felt like they left fun at the door in exchange for upstaging, and it just didn't really translate well in the end. I'm no music major, but something about the bass in the song just kind of brings down the mood also. I really don't know how to describe it, but for some reason, I just can't have a good time with this song. I'm a Winner Baby comes in next. I think Art's verse is amazing, and then we have Karen's verse.
Hello, gorgeous!
The song overall feels like a deep cut from an album that was released 10 years ago that you forgot was even a song. There's really nothing that offensive about it. Art and Kita do a great job, but just something about the chorus, something about the way it's structured, it just doesn't have that weight that I really need for a song to scratch my brain. The new Wave Queen challenge from season 8 overall was a good challenge for the show, but not so much for producing songs. There's nothing wrong with Lay Chicken Wings' song, but again, I'm just never really gonna come back to it. It's just way more of an entertaining watch on the show than it is an actual song that I want to listen to. Wow. Oh wow, this was a disappointment. I was really hoping for the most with True North Strong and Fierce because Canada has produced some of the best songs of the franchise. And we didn't even have a mid-season song, so this was all we were getting out of the season. They gave these queens nothing to work with. Someone did a sped up version of this song, and when you listen to that, it sounds like how the song should actually sound.
Came to slay, show these hoes I don't play. Put me in the bottom, bitch, I'm here to stay. House of Couture, the next generation. I'll ask these bitches with no hesitation.
It was such an uphill battle, but the verses did turn out pretty good. But then after you get through one of the verses, like, oh, Kimmy did so good, we were treated to a garage band beat and Brooklyn just kind of talking for a little bit, and then, oh, next verse. Coming off of the heels of two of the most energetic finale songs, this just was not hitting. And with season 2, we know that Brooklyn can make a really killer chorus. I just really don't know what happened here. And my Canada slander continues into the next two entries with Biflop both of the groups. Outside of Cynthia, none of the verses have really stuck with me, and I hate that chorus. I said in one of my previous videos that I grew up around people who love country music but have no country twang whatsoever. So instead they just really force it out, and that's how the chorus feels to me. Someone who booked a gig, and then when they got in the studio, the producer said, oh, it's supposed to be country leaning, and then the artist is like, okay, I'll try my best. Bah, flop. Just cause it's glitter don't. Okay, I'm done. Something about Divas from España 1 has just never clicked with me. The energy of the song just feels really low. All of the verses were good, but combined with this beat, everything just kind of sounds the same. And with that, I didn't love the chorus, but after every single verse, they repeat it. There's a whole thing that I think about when Drag Race balances their songs. It can't be too top heavy where all the verses come too soon. But in this case, though it's spread out evenly, I feel like it just gets a little too repetitive. And again, when it's repeating a chorus that I'm not a huge fan of, I'm just not going to put it very high. Street Meats is definitely the best song out of the new Wave Queen songs, but it's still just a better viewing experience than it is a listening experience. There's some good jokes. Obviously, these three queens are amazing at delivering comedy, but again, I'm never going to come back to it unless I'm watching the episode. Same thing as number 61, it only ranks a little higher because Carmen, of course. Tam With You definitely isn't a good song, but it is an iconic song. It's a funny concept and it doesn't overstay its welcome, it's just kind of there, but the common factors for why songs are placing low can be applied here too. Early recordings, never really wanting to listen to this over other songs, and Pearl just sounds so weird on this. It's not offensive when it's on, but I'm forgetting it the second it's over. Clapback was the culmination of disappointment from an already disappointing season. You have a great musical artist in Jujubee, Cracker who just showed that she could be really good on a bitch track, and Shea Coulee who I believe is one of, if not the best musical artist of the show. So much potential wasted by horrible mixing. Miss Cracker kind of got out of it by the way she delivered her lines, but Juju and Shea were just swallowed by the beat. And that's no fault to them, obviously, just a very sad prospect. Not to mention, this happens with some RuPaul songs and I hate it. I do not care for breakdowns at the end of the song. And Clapback definitely has the worst one too, where I feel like they just put every single noise they could into the end. Don't worry though, every other Shea song is ranked pretty high. Like with Congratulations, BDE by the Slice Girls shows a lot of what I don't like about the modern cast songs. Kitty's verse is really great, but the rest of the verses just are so standard and I really didn't love them. When I think about the most standard cast songs, BDE by the Slice Girls always comes to mind because it feels like all the boxes are being checked, but even though requirements are being met, it just doesn't give the satisfying product. And that was honestly kind of the storyline for the episode. I don't want to get too into it, but they expected to win the challenge because it was the more up-tempo drag racy song. And to me, by them saying that, it exposes the expectations and the status quo and raises the expectations and make us want more. So yes, it is standard and good, but part of me thinks they chose this because they thought they could squeeze by because of the expectations of past seasons. Get Ready to Clock is the best season 7 parody song because it's based off of a real song already. It feels the most like parody, the jokes all land, and I think Jaden should have won this challenge. What can I say about He's My Baby? Deja sounded great. Deja definitely sounded great, and that's about it. Like with the challenges on season 7 and 8, the baby songs just are better TV than they are to listen to. Don't get me wrong, the recordings and mixings have definitely gotten better, so I have listened to these before, but again, I'd rather just watch them. This one is just the least memorable to me, but we'll get back to the other two a little later. Please don't come for me. Can I Get an Amen is iconic, but again, as a viewing experience more than a listening experience. It is definitely not my favorite thing to listen to, but of course, there are so many funny moments in this song.
I lost all hope today.
For the first time recording an original song for the show, it definitely could have gone a lot worse, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to be buying this on iTunes. You Don't Know Me has really soured over time, and this is coming from someone who likes musical theater. The great verses are great, but I feel like they could have been better if they weren't on a song like this. The less favorable verses are a chore to get through, and I'm happy that they tried to diversify the types of songs that they're making, but I just feel like this one was a little too left field. I don't know what it is about Holland 2 and being the threshold for the next tier, but Via from Holland 2 kind of makes us enter a new tier. I could definitely see this one growing on me. The energy is there, I am entertained, but it's definitely more low-key, so I have to listen to it at the right time. This is probably one a lot of you haven't listened to yet, so you should definitely check it out to see if you like it. Drag Race UK's A Little Bit of Love is disappointing again for that mixing. Both versions of A Little Bit of Love have the same problem, but UK's is a lot worse, that bass just swallows most of the girls.
Bimini babes, watch the queen conquer, law of attraction, speak and you will prosper.
It's still extremely catchy, and all of the verses, when we do get to hear them, are really good. Taste especially killed it. Again, I'm still not a fan of the breakdowns at the end, but this one does fit with the song, so I do appreciate that. Just coming off of the heels of UK Hun, I was really hoping that we would get another bop. It just didn't happen. Another song that's disappointing because we got a much better song mid-season, we have This Is Our Country. Unlike Biflop, I think that the country elements do serve the song well, but ultimately it just doesn't create a memorable product. Kylie with her twang is obviously very perfect for this song, and Raja's verse has grown on me a lot, but that's just coming from an ultimate Raja fan. It was just such a lackluster finish, and the big thing is the verses were still so short. For a long time during 2020 and 2021, I would watch the finales and just hope and pray that the verses were an adequate length. And this one especially falls victim because I think all of the verses have a really good message behind them, but they have to rush through them so fast. For a period of time, the mixing was getting worse and the verses were getting shorter, but I think we're past that now. Not Sorry About It is iconic, but also a mess. I've listened to this one in the car a fair share, but I completely believe that it's better TV than it is a song. There's just so much going on, so much you have to pay attention to, and by the time you understand who's on the verse, it switches to the next person. But you cannot deny there are some iconic lines. Scarlett Bobo looks are a no-no, dressed like a clown, and it showed in the promo. Come on, that sticks with you. Filth Harmony's Breakup Bye Bye is the first victim of a group being good but never wanting to go to it because the other group is just so much better. Cheryl was all around great, Vivian sounded great, and Crystal just didn't really sound perfect for this type of song. Still, they got the basis down for the song, and I think it was a good time for when it's lasting, but I'm never going to choose this one over the other version, so that's why it ranks this low. We have another example here, Pop Off Ate by Pink Pussy Energy. I love that group name. None of the verses were bad at all. I really liked Venus's verse especially, but outside of Venus, I don't remember the other verses unless I just finished the song, and I'm never going to choose it over Flex Bomb. And the structure is an issue for both versions. Chorus, 3 verses, chorus, 2 verses, chorus, chorus, chorus. I think they could have split up the verses just a little better here. Super Queen is Super Queen and Super Queen, Super Queen, you know? It's definitely grown on me, and when I'm in that right mood, I really enjoy the song, but that mood isn't here majority of the time, so I'm normally skipping this one. Mo and Monet sounded great on the song, but because they come first, it's hard to keep listening after that. The mixing on A Little Bit of Love for Italia is a little better, and I really do like the verses, but it's still a little bit of love, and that bass is still bumping. And one thing that I found that I really hated about both versions is the fact that RuPaul comes in before the verses are done a lot of the time. They did it multiple times here and once on UK, and we don't even get to hear the ends of the verses because RuPaul starts to overshadow them. Please just don't use A Little Bit of Love anymore, guys. I beg you. Oh No She Better Don't is the first cast song that I would consider an actual cast song, and for that, it did a great job. The queens who got it, and the ones that didn't, Darian, they were flopping in an iconic way. So in that regard, every verse is super memorable, and I just want to shout out Adore because they were the first one to say a crown line. And it has sent us down the path of Mamaru, give me the crown, I'm gonna snatch that crown, and we have never recovered. Pick and Mix's version of BDE is great because it understood the assignment at hand. Where the other team just kind of went for, oh, I'm that bitch, give me the crown, they actually were like, okay, what is big drag energy and how do we give it? I've never really enjoyed the fact that the entire girl group wins the challenge on UK. I think River deserved the solo win because her verse was my absolute favorite. And we'll get back to this in a second, but the fact that 6 people are now considered winners of a challenge is crazy. This version of BDE sounds really great, but still, it's not something that I would always come back to listen to. When it's on, I'm enjoying it, but I can't deny that maybe the episode is the reason this was bumped up a little bit. UK Hun by Banana Drama, again, is a good version of the song, but it just does not compare to United King Dolls. Joe and Tia gave fun verses, they get stuck in my head sometimes, but I've listened to both versions so much that when one of them comes on and the chorus starts playing, I know which one it is and I know which one to skip. God, I have so many of these in a row. The Hung Divas Bosom Buddies, again, is just not my favorite version of the song. I like Beverly's verse a lot, the other two are good, but they just get overshadowed by the other group. But major points to both versions of the song because this chorus is so catchy. Both girl groups for Down Under have some of the most catchy choruses, and I really hope that they continue this because this has gotten stuck in my head so many times. Don't Funk It Up started pretty high on my list, but it just slowly started to slip down as I started to like songs more. Latrice and Valentina were so good, Trinity was alright, but just the other two verses combined with how short the song is, it just kind of slips my mind a lot of the time. I'm in Love is another song that started to climb up my list after I kind of slandered it in the past. I think I let my dislike for All Stars 5 get in the way of this song because it's honestly a fun time. I wish the verses were longer, the chorus though is catchy as all hell, and there's some iconic lines, of course Juju, Daddy Janky, Anjana's auto-tune, and Shay just delivering another wonderful verse. Talk to me in a couple months and see if this one gets even higher, cause that may happen. My Baby Is Love doesn't really have anything that's super remarkable, but I just think Camden and Angeria sound so good. Their voices are just like butter on the song, and it brings out so many good vibes, so I come back just to listen to it, even if I don't really remember any of the lyrics of the song. Still though, for how short it is, I think they got a lot of variation out of the verses, and that's commendable. As of recording this, the girl groups from UK4 are the newest to enter the space. I have been loving UK4, but I still think the girl group came way too early. I'm gonna put the triple threats here because though Baby and Black Peppa had the best verses out of any of the queens, Starlet and Jonvers were a little lacking, and by a little, I mean a lot.
I'm a little bit goofy.
I can't imagine how hard it is to write a verse in that time crunch, but when you're surrounded by two of the best lyricists in your group and you're sandwiched in the middle of them, it's just not gonna go well for your critiques. Though Sminty really messed up in the actual performance, I did like her lyrics and I think her delivery was great. I don't think I could spell that fast. And overall, like with Bosom Buddies, I just like when they do rock songs on Drag Race. Obviously, it is very watered down marketable rock, but it's just so refreshing after so many pop songs, and I really hope they keep doing it because the energy is just always there for them. I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself so much, but Boom Boom by Les Sœurs Jacquet is just not as good as the other group. The chorus on both versions is great. I think the verses on this version are good, but like I just mentioned, the other version is a rock mix, and I just really like that one better. There's also just this weird voice filter over Paloma's verse, and I thought that this was going to be the voice filter for everything, and the mixing was going to be horrible, but it was only with her, so it was even more awkward. I'm liking this version at the moment, but that may start to decrease over time. I think Drag Up Your Life is the next gatekeeper for the songs that I like even more. These are songs that I've gone out of my way to listen to and never skip when they come on. Drag Up Your Life, it's a classic, everybody knows it, everybody loves it. Kennedy, Shangela, and Dela all had good verses, Trixie had a great verse, but I think BB just overshadows all of them. It was like a build to BB's verse just being so fun and crazy and energetic, and I really appreciate that hers was at the end. This has just been a consistent favorite for so many years, and I don't really think it's gonna move up or down. Bosom Buddies by Babs, that is Bosom Buddies by Babs. I just think Hannah, Queen, and Spakey had better verses on the song. The chorus is still so catchy, and I could see this one going up a lot higher in the future. Queens of the Bone Age had consistent verses, but I still think Baby and Peppa had the higher highs. Still though, I think the group had a lot more synergy, and it ranks higher because of the performance in the actual episode. Dakota came out of her shell, I have a soft spot for LaPhil, and I think Pixie did really great too. This doesn't apply to the ranking, but again, I just think it's insane that all 6 of them won. Like, come on, let's not do that, guys. It'll make the track records and all that stuff a lot more interesting in the end, but come on, just give Baby or Dakota the solo win. Everybody say love. From All Stars 4. At first, I had Don't Funk It Up higher than Everybody Say Love, but I started to switch them around because I just like the verses better on this one. The chorus on Don't Funk It Up is a little more fun, but we're mostly going off of verses. I think Mo sounded so good, Monet and Naomi had super funny verses, and Farrah was... Anyways, nah, I really don't think Farrah did that bad, and she got her little You Don't Love Me in at the end, so that was really funny. It just doesn't compare as well to the others. Sitting on a Secret, again, is just a long-time favorite. It ranks higher because I like the little guitar in the background, and I think it just has a little extra bump of energy. All of the queens on this track got to highlight their strengths, and I really enjoyed that. Whether it's Aja's flow, Milk's crazy nature, Thorgy's quirkiness, all of it was so good. I see a lot of people rank American pretty high, and I can never really bring myself to do that. All of the verses are so good in different ways, but for some reason, I just can't really get into it. Maybe it's the chorus, maybe it's the breakdown at the end. I really like the message behind the song, but it's just not for me. me. Especially after Category Is, Reggie Roju, and Kitty Girl, this just doesn't have the same hook to it. To the Moon is so good. I like the breakdowns half the time when I listen to it, and then the other half, I'm like, okay, let's get to the next verse, guys. Like with a lot of the breakdowns, it depends on the type of mood I'm in, but Baga, Vivian, and Davina all sound so good on the song. The verses are stellar, and I think that To the Moon is just a really good bass song for queens to use. It's honestly a lot like A Little Bit of Love, but when the mixing is right, the energy is so infectious. Who Is She is another really new song, so I don't know if it's gonna shrink or grow on me, but for right now, I think it's really good. I mean, you just take Babs and then make them do 3 more verses, and then you got this song, so obviously it's gonna be really good quality. The beat on this song is icky sticky, but like, why did I say that? It sticks in your head in the best ways. I think it's one of the most fun beats. I don't think it's for everyone, but I really enjoy it. It's a great drop, and I do think it's gonna grow on me, but again, check back in. Next up, we have more Down Under bops, both versions of Queen's Down Under. I don't really think I can rank either one separate from each other because they both have such quality verses and some verses that are just okay. I've been listening to them forever, but I still can't remember who's part of which group because they sound so similar, but that's not really a detriment. The chorus by Michelle is so good, and even if I don't know the version that it is, once one of the verses comes on, I'm like, ooh, yes, okay, I can't wait for this verse next. Down Under Season 1 is such an interesting season, but something that I always look back to as a classic is this. Queen of the North was one that I had to sit on for a while because it never made it to Spotify. But it finally did, and I started listening to it a lot, and I really, really enjoy it. They give the girls a lot of time in the verses, there's a lot of variation to each of the queens. The energy is there. The thing that holds it from being any higher, though, is that breakdown at the end. I cannot stand it. It just feels so awkward, and it's a weird way to end the song, you know? We're all queens, yes, with an S. I don't know. Boom Boom by The Nails is the rock mix, and oh my god, I loved it so much. It's partially because all of the verses are really good, but also I just think that rock mix is so energetic, and it really just breathes a lot of fresh air into these mixes. And out of all the rock mixes we've seen on Drag Race, this one feels the most authentic and layered. It is such a high quality song, and I could definitely see this one rising a lot in the future. Another pairing of cast songs, Together Forever and Titanic, are both super good. I think Titanic is a little better though. I've been on a super big 2000s kick, and these songs just feel so early 2000s, and it's so entertaining. I do think Evie and the Vivian did a really good job on their mix. Viv's was one note, but that one note was really funny. The chorus of Together Forever is more punchy to me, but I still think I like Titanic's a little better. And then we get to Shay and Monet, who I do think should have been the top 2 of the challenge. I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think Shay and Trinity are tied for the most verses on any cast songs of Drag Race. And every time Shay is tasked to write lyrics, it's different, but still such high quality. Monet is just right behind Shay for showcasing how great her lyricism is, not to mention her vocals on every song sound so spectacular. And Raj's verse, I had no idea what she was saying until someone gave me a breakdown, and honestly, I kind of love it now. Both of these songs just put a smile on my face, and I think they're the gatekeepers for the next tier. All of the songs up I've come back to multiple times, and as soon as they released, I went and listened to them after the episode. Category Is, of course, another classic, starts our top 20. All the positives are still there and have not changed over time. I just think that there are better songs now. But for this being the second top 4 song ever, and them not really knowing what to do, they absolutely dominated it. All of the verses are so perfect to who they are as people, and even someone like Trinity, who got a lot of criticism for her verse, I don't even think it was that bad. But I gotta mention her every time she's on a song. Shay completely stole the show. This is arguably her best verse, but I think there might be one that's a little better now. This will always, always, always be a classic. Queens Everywhere was the first Drag Race song that I listened to a ton. And now 3 years later, it still holds up really well. Akira and Evie gave the best verses of the song, and it's great that they opened and closed it. Vanjie and Silky had really great moments too, and I have never really been a fan of Brooke's verse. I love Brooke, but it just came off as a little white. It was really interesting though, because on this song, it seemed like they were tasked to do more of a rap, and that might just be not up Brooke's alley. So even then, she did hold her own, and I do hope we get a song at this tempo again because it's really refreshing. I will always call Break Up Bye Bye by the Frock Destroyers good, but I could never call it one of my favorites. It was the blueprint for a lot of the girl groups on Drag Race, but now I just think there are better songs out there. I do have to say this is one of my most listened to songs on the list, so so I may have been staled on it because of that. But to me, even though I know how loved it is, I really can't justify putting it higher for myself. Out of all the baby songs from season 14, Bad Boy Baby, oh my god, it is so good. The verses are hilarious, the instrumental reminds me of Good Morning Baltimore, the jokes build throughout. I think it's the best comedy song of the franchise. Whenever Dia Bosco and Willow got together, they made some of the most funny performances of the show. It really does feel like a theater song at heart, so that's why it got so far up here, but it also means it can't go any higher, if that makes sense. When you compare Phenomenon to Congratulations, there's no contest at all. The girls feel like they're playing off of each other. I think the beat is just a lot more energetic than Congratulations. Some of the most iconic lines and overall verses come from this song. I've gone into detail about this song before, but again, name a line from every verse. I know you can. Something about this song has just stuck with me, and I don't know if it's because Congratulations was such a disappointment, but I don't know, I just listen to this one a lot. I Will Survive from Thailand 2 is so good and also not that great in some ways. I put it up this high because I think some of the verses on the song, like Kana's, are some of the best of the franchise. Just something about them singing I Will Survive on the chorus is both so right and so wrong at the same time.
Oh no, not I will survive, oh, as long as I
But it's an energy vortex. Something about it is so punchy and so captivating, I gotta put it up this high. I'm That Bitch has definitely fallen from grace for me just because I'm getting so tired of it. I've listened to it a lot, and even though there's so many verses on it, the chorus still plays so many times, and it starts to get a little repetitive when you listen to it a ton. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that, again, all of these verses are so memorable and all the queens crushed it. When I'm listening to the verses of the song, I'm like, okay, yes, we are in it. And then it gets to the chorus and I'm like, okay, I've heard this a lot. Once you get past the first two verses of Show Up Queen, it doesn't stop being fun. Though the chorus repeats a lot in the song, I still think it's extremely catchy and it hasn't really staled on me just yet. TKB and Raja give two of the best verses of the franchise, and I just really like the message of the song. There is also just a lot of positive connotation with this song and where I was at in my life. At this time in my life, the vibes were just really good, so I would always throw this song on, and now whenever I listen to it, I remember those good vibes. Just get past Jan and Pandora and you are golden. When I first heard Legends, I wasn't that wowed by it, but it has just grown on me so much. It's such a smooth basic beat, and that honestly helps the girls just shine in the way they want to. The only verse that I'm not the biggest fan of is the Vivienne's. It really felt like she needed a couple weeks to warm up in All-Star 7, but every other winner killed it. Monet again was just so strong on the song, and I think I finally decided that this is my favorite Shea Coulee verse out of any song that she's done. Dripped in Designer, Hot on Fire, strutting down the runway building my empire is just, oh my god, it is so good. It gets better with every listen, so it may even get higher in the future, I'm not too sure. The last song right before our top 10 is Lucky from season 13. The redemption for Candy and Mick needs to be acknowledged because their verses are so great on this song. Rosé and Simone didn't need that redemption, but their verses are really good. I still gotta say, Rosé, I love you, you sounded great. I don't know if we can consider your rap. Verses aside, I think this is one of the best RuPaul choruses, and the structure of the song is really great. We got chorus, two verses, chorus, two verses, and then chorus and a little breakdown, but the breakdown is really fun. It doesn't stay over its welcome, and the song is just good vibes all around. We've made it to our top 10, and Pop Off Ate by the Flex Bombs is so good. I can't remember who, but right after the song finishes, one of them said that this is Filipino drag, and I have to agree. So much energy in every single one of these verses, they're all so different from each other. I cannot get enough of this song. Marina and Tareen gave two of the best verses of the franchise. I've really never seen two queens be so ready to release music right after they get off the show. Like, these two are genuinely stars. But that shouldn't take away from the rest of the group who all held their own in the verses, and it just makes a really consistently great time. I've been listening to this non-stop, and it makes me so proud that I'm Filipino. Catwalk from season 14 is so great because the verses are good, but I just love Catwalk by RuPaul. Nah, that's a lie. I do catch myself singing all of the verses from this song, and they did stick with me, but I just think RuPaul's chorus on the song and just Catwalk in general is so amazing. The cast version is just such an easy song to listen to. I think all of the verses are just so consistently great. They get to make their verses their own while still being in the vibe of the song, and I really really can't ask for more. I just talked about Las Vegas back in my Rusical ranking because I wasn't really sure if it was a cast song or a Rusical, but I gotta include it here too. Regardless of if we're including Baby I'm Ready and the Mirror song, or if it's just Losing is the New Winning, this song has to be here because it is so punchy and so catchy. It's such a great cap off to the season, and I think that they all put their little charm on each of their verses. If you want more detail, you can go check out my Rusical video after this one, but over there, it's still nothing but positivity. Llévame a Cielo from España 2 is so good because it reminds me of ABBA. It sounds exactly like Gimme Gimme Gimme, and that is such a positive for this song. Every queen kills their verses, and it just feels like they are fit and ready to be on this specific song. Since it dropped, I've come back to this one a lot, even though I don't have a ton of experience speaking Spanish. On top of that, I think this has the best mixing out of any song in the franchise. You can hear everyone so clearly, even if the bass was bumping, and it sucks that this is a positive, but I'm happy that it is here. Okay, hear me out. Hey sis, it's Christmas, even if it isn't Christmas time, goes so hard. Of course, we are coming up on the holiday season, so my excitement for this song may have skewed its placement, but I just think that all of the verses are so good. It's just a little clap bounce clap beat, but all three of them perform like it's the most intricate thing in the world. The fact that Kitty's verse is the weakest on the song, even if it's still an 8 out of 10, speaks volumes. Ella sounds so good, and Crystal, coming off of Slice Girls, I didn't expect a lot, but damn, she rocked it. Of course, I'm still not a fan of that weird breakdown at the end, but it doesn't ruin the song for me. I'm throwing this one on at every single Christmas, and my family can argue with the wall. What can I say about Reggie Rochu that hasn't already been said? Even if Roxy's verse is sonically bad, as Katya puts it, it is still one of the most memorable things of the show. They have some of the longest verses of the franchise, and they use every single second to make history. It's one of the most fun songs to sing along to, and even if there isn't really a chorus, it fits the vibe of the song, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I really struggled with where I should put Living My Life in London. I had it as high as number 2, but then I slowly started to move it down. Baga, Janie, and Juju all have really good verses. Blue has a great verse, but everything is building up to Mo's verse at the end. The structure of the song is perfect, having 2 verses, chorus, 2 verses, chorus, and then the last verse, but how they brought us into Mo's verse is so genius, and it made her win the challenge on the spot. The previous verses slowed the song down, but Mo hops on the chorus beat, and it just brings energy, life. It is everything that I needed, and I didn't know I even needed it. I know I've been saying this a lot, but on top of it, it's just one of the best verses of the franchise. I love it so much. And I just think the topic 2 is really cute as they shout out their hometowns. It's just so fun. Again, what can be said about Kitty Girl that hasn't already been said? Another top 3 RuPaul chorus. Trixie and Shangela gave 2 of the best branded verses out there. BB's verse has definitely grown on me over time, and though I think Kennedy's verse is lacking her little flavor, she still sounds so amazing on it, and it opens the song super well. Everything about the song is so great, I'm never gonna skip it, and it's always gonna be my background music. We have reached the top 2. I don't know if people are following along and doing process of elimination, but here we go. At number 2, I have UK Hun by the United King Dolls. I think the best way to describe the song is infectious. Even if you think the chorus of Bing Bang Bong, Sing Sang Song, Ding Dang Dong is stupid, you can't help but get into it and live through their energy. Every single one of their verses is just so signature to who they are. If you knew who they were before, it's just perfect for them. And if you didn't know who they were before, you definitely know who they are after. And finally, my number 1 is You Wear It Well from Canada's Drag Race Season 1. I tried to justify putting something higher, but I couldn't. All of the verses are so good. Everything is just so true to each of these queens. It really felt like such a toss-up on who was gonna win at the end of Canada's Drag Race, and this was their final resume maker. Priyanka referenced her performance over the course of the season. Scarlett shows that she is ready to fight as the winner, and Rita shows every single side of herself in her verse. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this was a battle cry for who should take the crown. On top of that, the structure is really good, the RuPaul chorus is amazing. They had all the time in the world to do whatever they wanted with their verses. I love that they slowed them down towards the end. It just adds so much variation. I will never get tired of this song. The only thing that I will get tired of is the fact that this is a 30-minute long video. I really hope you enjoyed this ranking. I love doing ranking videos, even if they take a lot out of me. If you think I'm wrong, it's just my opinion. I'm a clown on the internet, don't worry about me. But sound off in the comments below of where you would rank each of these songs. Make sure if you like and subscribe. If this video hits, okay, I'll say like 4K, maybe I'll do a ranking of all the verses, but that's crazy. I have to figure out how I need to do that. October is going to be a busy month for all the right reasons, so I'll see you soon with another video.